Hello everybody, welcome back to the Knitting Lab. This is Tamara, and what I'm going to show you now is what you're going to do when it is time to divide your t-shirt for divide the sleeves from the body. So I have my work here and I have completed the pattern through round 17, and now it's time to divide. So I have the first set of markers, so here's the front of the shirt. And I'm going to the first set of raglan markers right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the entire sleeve stitches, all of them, and the stitch that is in markers before and after that sleeve, and that's all going to go on waste yarn until the completion of the body. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move the one last stitch before, and now what I'd suggest is you take a piece of yarn that's really long and put it on a tapestry needle and you thread it through each stitch. But I have this very cool tubular cord that I was gifted. Thank you very much, Angela. And I'm going to put that right there, and now I'm going to slide the stitches onto the tubing. Actually, you know what? I need to take this off first, and I'm going to take the marker off. So all of these stitches from the first purled stitch all the way to the end are going to be going on to a piece of waste yarn, or if you have tubular cord like this, it's often called barber cord. And then these are going to be out of the way. I'm going to continue doing this, and I'm going to meet up with you in my next video where I'm going to show you how to cast on the underarm stitches that you will need to complete the body. So I just wanted you to see that these are all going to be fed onto a piece of waste yarn or onto this cording. And you know what? It looks like I can get this all done super quickly. So I'm going to do it all now. So I will not be doing this in a different video because this was super speedy. Just got to make sure my stitches make it over the lip of the plastic tubing. See that? They're being fed onto this. There. And now I'm going to feed all of them, and for the moment I will feed the markers as well until I get that purl stitch onto the cord. And now I'm going to separate, remove the tube from the cord, remove that marker. I can leave the other guy because I can take it off when I'm done. So now look what I have. I have all the sleeve stitches on a piece of cord. And again, I usually do this with waste yarn, but if you have this barber cord, which you can get on Amazon, I believe this is 2mm diameter. I'm going to take them, and this is what I do with my thread. You can use a stopper. Some people have these little devices, but for the moment, just going to do that. And now all those stitches are safely on the cord. So now what I have is the body and this big space, and I have to cast on stitches to create the underarm. So the pattern calls for you to do a cable cast on again. And so here is the working yarn from the last stitch worked. And I'm going to turn the work like so. looks, there's one last stitch that had not been knit before the purl bump. There. So now I'm turning the work, and the pattern tells you to cast on a certain amount of stitches using the cable cast on. For this size, it tells you to cast on 4. So I'm going to go ahead and using the cable cast on, I'm going in between stitch 1 and 2, in between, wrap, bring the yarn through, and slide it on the needle. That's one stitch. I'm going to do it 3 more times. 2, 3, 'Take your time getting the needle in there. All right. I have now cast on 4 new stitches, and you see at the bottom they kind of overlap each other. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then what I need to do is place a marker, and this becomes the new beginning of round. And I'm supposed to cast on another 4 for this size. So you might have 6 each. So now I'm going to continue that cast on. And yes, I have this marker in the way. I'm going to just be careful and separate the last 2 stitches so I can get the needle in. You might need to loosen that last stitch. All right, I'm in there, and I'm going to cast on stitches 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so I've cast on a total of 8 stitches, 4 before the marker. This is my original first stitch, so this is not one of the new stitches. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I place the marker, and then I cast on another 4 stitches for a total of 8. Now that I've done that, and you could see this long strand here, I'm going to turn my work around so the public side is facing me again, and I'm going to get the other needle and the rest of my work, and I'm going to scoot it up, and I am now going to continue knitting, and in that way join my new strand of stitches, these new stitches, to the existing work. Sliding things up the needle. Here we go. I'm going to go in so everything is cast on here. I've turned the work so the public side is facing me, and I'm going to knit into the first stitch after the sleeve, and I'm going to gently pull because what I want to do is minimize a gap between these two. It is done. Now that I've done that, all I'm going to do is knit, and I'm going to knit, knit, knit. This will be across the back of your work, so it's the largest plane of knitting stitches before you reach the next sleeve. So I've knit some stitches. I want you to see what that looks like. And as I keep going, the next time I go around, I'm going to be knitting on these stitches, and in that way I will be completing the underarm area, and this is the sleeve. So I'm going to keep knitting now all the way across until I get to the next set of underarm stitches, which is right here. At which point I will put my working yarn down, and I will again use the cord or use a tapestry needle and waste yarn, And starting with that purl bump, I will load all of these onto that yarn through the next purl bump, and then do the same thing I did on the first one, cast on 4 stitches, place a marker, and cast on 4 using the cable cast on. So that's your next step if you're ready to divide for the body and the sleeves, and give it a try. Have a good day. Bye.